Story time about my experience with karma. So, a little background information. I was 17 and in 11th grade, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a mean person. Well, not kind of, I just was mean. Like, I got joy out of annoying and making fun of people. Yeah, I know there was something probably wrong with me. Leave me alone. Anyway, so I would low-key always bully my cousin, and when she would get upset about it, I would make it seem as if it was a joke. Well, I guess the one day she had enough of me, because there was this boy that I really liked, and we didn't know each other at all. Like, we had never spoken one word to each other, and my cousin knew that I liked this boy, so she decided that she was going to email him asking him out. And no, this isn't one of those situations where she tried to steal the guy that I liked. Nope, instead she went on my email and emailed him acting like me. Sis must have been determined to get her lick back because I don't even know how she knew the password to my email. So the next day at school, him and I are in citizenship, and we're all on our laptops for this lesson. Well, all of a sudden, I hear him whisper my name to the popular girl that sits next to him, like for part 2. Part 2 about my experience with karma. So like I said, I heard him whisper my name to the popular girl that sits next to him, and she has never liked me. I never bullied her. I know I said I was a mean person, but I didn't bully her. She just hated me. So of course she thinks it would be funny to confront me in front of the whole class, and she's like, why would you email him asking him out? Not only was I embarrassed, but I was shocked because I was like, what are you talking about? Honestly, I thought that they were lying, so I was like, whatever, I'll check when I get home. Well, when I went home that day and checked my email, what do you know? There it is. An email sent from my laptop saying, hey, I really like you. Do you want to go out with me? I forget how, but I found out that it was my cousin. I didn't do anything to her because the damage was already done at that point, but I got bullied so bad for the rest of that week. And I don't even know why. Everybody was being so extra about it. It's not like this kid had a girlfriend or anything, but people were whispering rude things to me in class. And the one day that week while I was in the locker room, that popular girl starts yelling that I have blood on my pants. Like, she screamed it so loud, everybody heard it. And I tried asking my cousin if there was anything. She was ignoring me. So now on top of the whole email situation, I was dealing with that. Obviously, eventually everything died down, but I definitely learned my lesson and I'm no longer a bully.
Get ready with me for a red carpet. I did a lot of prepping. I curled my extensions. So I went to the gym, I showered, now I'm gonna do skincare. It's for the premiere of Flaming Hot and it's gonna be an orange carpet. So I want my face to look really hydrated and dewy. This is the Plump Plump Serum from Glow Recipe 2. Glow Recipe Vitamin C Serum. Plump Plump Hyaluronic Cream, also from Glow Recipe. SPF. Everyone is going crazy over this. Glowy. Sorry. I just signed up for VIX. It's that streaming platform just for telenovelas. It's free. Like, you can watch whatever telenovela you want for free. They do have a premium one, but I'm not gonna pay for that. You just have to watch ads. Who cares? I'm watching Clase 406, Marimar, Lo que la vida me robó, Teresa, Rubí, A Mil por Hora. Oh my god, I cannot wait to watch A Mil por Hora. The invite for the event said business casual. I almost died when I read that because I have been planning my outfit now for like 2 weeks. I got it custom made for $25 in Nicaragua. That's how cheap it is over there. But I designed it myself. I went to get the fabric. I got the lace. I'm trying to give myself like maybe 3 hours to do my hair, my makeup. So right now I think I'm just gonna eat. I'm actually gonna sit down and watch a movie. I don't ever do that during the week. I don't ever allow myself to just relax that way, but I'm going to because when I'm going to events and I'm rushing to try to get ready, I usually tend to get a little bit stressed out and I'm trying to avoid that so much right now. Anything that stresses me out or makes me anxious, I'm just trying to completely avoid. Got this in the mail. Wella Ultimate Repair Miracle Hair Rescue Treatment Capillaire. I have no idea what this is. It's been a couple of hours. I'm now starting to work on my hair. I have about 3 hours and 20 minutes to get ready, which will include makeup, hair, and getting dressed and filming a couple of videos of me getting dressed. So I need volume for this event. I want volume. By the way, I have the Last Magic Mike playing in the background, and oh my god, this movie is so freaking hot. The first scene with Salma Hayek and Channing Tatum. This just might be the longest get ready with me ever. I'm pushing the root up and then out. You see? Whoa! Okay, so I'm gonna take this piece at the crown and I'm gonna actually put more into it as well. What if I show up and there's like no red carpet? Wow, that does look voluminous. I'm using the beach waver. I'm gonna put some Clase 406. So this is when I'm gonna fill in my hairline with some powder. This is the Me Cosmetics. I live and die by this. It's actually a foundation for the scalp. Yeah, these curls are so freaking tight. I'm gonna do La Roche-Posay Double Wear Face Moisturizer. I got NYX, the brow gel, wet Q-tip, and I'm gonna clean the edges of the brows so that I make sure there's no glue on there because I do not want it to make the eyeshadow look patchy. Take a tiny bit of the moisturizer. I'm just gonna pat it over my lids and right underneath the brows just because I've cleaned that space and I don't want just dry skin to work on, to ensure that everything flows and blends in really nicely. I'm taking a tiny bit of this Essence Cosmetics foundation. I really, really like this. 2 tiny pumps, like that's not a lot of foundation. 1 pump of the Kosas IV because it makes the skin look so glittery. I like that. I know a lot of people don't like that. I loved it. So this is the Onisa Beauty foundation brush. It's one of my favorite brushes. I haven't used it in so long. I will say though, IV from Kosas is very, very, very dry. You have to work really fast to blend it in. Otherwise, it'll be like a patch of glitter in one spot. More hydration. Rare Beauty contour stick. I forgot my blurring stick. Put it on now though, maybe? Yeah, it's working. I want my face to look fresh, dewy, not full coverage. So I'm doing a tiny, tiny bit of concealer. Blending brush, and I'm gonna blend that in. I don't have my Anisa concealer brush. This is the step where I grab my mirror and then I bring it close to my face and I'm going to check that everything is blended in. There are no chunky bits. Oh, you see? I forgot the neck. Just because that's probably super dry now. A tiny bit of foundation and blend. For powder, I'm using the Rose from Laura Mercier. I'm going to, I guess it's gonna be kind of a light bake. We're wiping this off. I'm gonna put these brushes back because I like keeping my station clean as I work. A little bit of bronzer. This is from ColourPop. It's Pacific Beach. And I'm picking up just a really small amount on the brush. It's not that much. Light layers of everything. Now that we're starting on the eyes, I'm going to prime my lids with some concealer. Smoking Hot palette from ColourPop. A little bit of this one and then a little bit of this one. Then start blending it into the eye socket. Okay, this is the bad part about this Jelly Much is flaking off. I'm gonna try to focus more on the outside edge. I'm gonna dip into this hot chocolate shade. And then I'm just gonna go right into the lash line and smudge it in. That's what we're working with so far. I need a little bit more orange. I'm gonna use this blue shade from ColourPop because I wanna have some sort of color from Nicaragua. Okay, so I actually just remembered I wanted to do white in the waterline. Completely forgot about this. This is Half Magic. This is their Berries Are Real shade, and it's kind of just like a liquid glitter. I think maybe just in the center right here. Next, I have Lilac Lashes. These are, I think these are those like extension lashes. Oh, it goes underneath. I'm gonna like this. Glue. Oh wow, that was easy. And then you press. I'll just do bottom mascara. This is the color Papaya from ColourPop. I'm gonna take Kosas Cloud Set in the shade Pillowy and the brush through the powder, and then I'm just gonna set and kind of blend in everything. Do you see the difference or no? I see the difference. Lip liner from Iconic London in the shade TTYN. It's Vegas, I know it isn't. It's my favorite lipstick shade ever. It's from Kosas. Complimentary nude shade for olive skin tone. And then right over that, I'm gonna do High Cut, which looks a tiny bit more peachy. So pretty! I just realized the lilac lashes bring a crystal coat. So I guess this goes on top. It says, brush through lashes right after applying lilac lashes to remove stickiness and extend lash wear. I think I'm just gonna do both on the same section. Ouch, that's kind of pulling out. And now the other one. And look how much hair this is, you guys. Can't believe how affordable these were off of Amazon. This is a flor sacuanjoche. It's the traditional flower from Nicaragua. It's the national flower, so it matches with my eye makeup. Oh, I forgot I was gonna put more blue. So this goes here. Oh my god, so pretty. I have 3 necklaces. I'm gonna layer some. This is the Nicaraguan flag. One of the options is this one. I don't think it goes. And then the other option is this one. So I think, oh my god, this one is so beautiful. This is by a Nicaraguan designer. He makes all this beautiful, beautiful jewelry. So I think I'm gonna do, oh my god, that looks so good. I'm gonna do this one, map right there. And then I have my fan, my little purse. I got both of these at the Mercado. Kayali Yum Pistachio, Kayali Sweet Diamond, and Glossier You. I'm gonna blow dry my bang just out. And the final touch is gonna be, okay, we've got lipstick, lip liner, gloss, that's what I need. I'm gonna use this one from Anastasia, it's the Coral. Into this palette from ColourPop, it's called Rumor Has It, and I'm gonna dip into this blue right here. There we go. Okay, let me show you guys the bag. Look at the bag. It looks so good. Literally looks so much better than I thought it would. I actually forgot this scarf, which is also by a Nicaraguan designer. I don't know where to put it now, so maybe around here. Okay, I think it's
Storytime about my psycho boyfriend and backstabbing best friend. So a little background information, I was 17 and in 12th grade, and we're going to call my best friend Sheila. And she had just met this guy who was, quote, the love of her life on this vegan Facebook page. Well, the one day while they're on FaceTime, his best friend Brad saw what I looked like and he wanted my phone number. Fast forward, she gives it to him and I start talking and we hit it off instantly. I definitely thought that he was boyfriend material because even though we lived like 5 hours away from each other, we would Skype for like 9 hours a day, every day. Fast forward to my birthday, we make things official, and he wanted to see me for my birthday, so he decided to get a hotel room for us. So finally, him and I meet in person, and you know, we end up doing the nasty. And it was terrible, but he was my boyfriend, so you know. Well, after this, he ends up becoming weirdly obsessed with me. He starts saying things like the next time that he comes and sees me, we're gonna get married. After talking to Sheila about it, I decided to break things off with him because things were moving way too fast and it freaked me out. After I told him this, he started sobbing. He was like, I wish I would have got you pregnant so that way you couldn't leave me. And I'm in shock because, dude, it has been 3 months. You need to calm down. Like for part 2. Part 2 about my psycho ex and my backstabbing best friend. So like I said, Sheila convinced me to break up with him, and I did. Fast forward, Sheila becomes super distant with me, and she's posting stuff on her Facebook like, oh, when your new boo gives you his hoodie. And her man had broke up, so I texted her asking who it was about, because I'm her best friend, duh. Finally, a few days later, after she was done avoiding me, she decides to answer with, we need to talk. I slept with Brad, and now him and I are in love with each other. And I'm like, what the hell happened to girl code? Like, yeah, I didn't want him, but at the same time, you're a snake. Like, ew. Anyway, so then she starts saying things like he's the best boyfriend and the reason why I'm single is because I wasn't appreciative of him. I ended up messaging her ex and telling him what happened, and to get our get back, we slept together. Fast forward, a month goes by, and then I get a text from Sheila and Brad on the same day saying that they broke up because both of them cheated on each other. And it was quite comical because Brad's like, yeah, you were the best girlfriend I ever had, and then Sheila's like, yeah, you were my best friend. I don't know why I would do that to you. I told both of them to F off, and then I told her ex what happened. So him and I laugh about it, and then 2 days later, I get a text from him saying that him and Sheila are getting married. Yeah.
My mother moved in her abusive boyfriend into our house only for him to abuse me, and she did nothing about it. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. All of this happened over 10 years ago. When I was 16, my mother met the devil in the form of a personal trainer. My mom and dad at the time had gotten a divorce. My dad started dating somebody else, and my mom started dating her personal trainer. Now, the extent of her obsession with this man was disgusting. She would do anything to impress him. She would even try to pay for his bills. She got him a bunch of clients for his gym. She would buy him gifts every single week. She was completely and utterly obsessed. From the moment I met him, I knew there was something wrong with him. He would tell my mom that I needed to be disciplined. He also judged the way that I dressed. He would judge my friends, so I started defending myself. I would talk back to him, but this just made him even angrier. care. Let me just give you some context. I was a straight A student, I was captain of my soccer team, and my mom and I had never had any issues before that. So he kept brainwashing my mom into believing that I was just a bad kid. And for some reason, my mom started agreeing with him. 2 months later, he convinced my mom that he should move in with us. That's when the abuse started. He gave us rules. If I broke them, I had to run for an hour. Part 2 is my mother moved in her abusive boyfriend into our house only for him to abuse me, and she would do nothing about it. Disclaimer is not my story time. So he made a set of rules. He typed them out, printed them, and put them on the fridge. And if I broke any of these rules, I had to run on the treadmill for an hour. Like I said, my mom and I had never had any issues before him. We were more like best friends, and she believed me. At this point, he had completely brainwashed her into believing that I was just a rebel, and that I needed to be disciplined. One of his rules was that I couldn't eat past 10 p.m. He would lock the fridge so that I couldn't get in. I would come home so late from school because I was in so many clubs and sports. By the time I came home, he would force me to do my homework. After that, I had about half an hour to stuff my face with anything I could find. He even told my mom not to make me dinner because I needed to become self-sufficient. I lost about 10 pounds within a month. I was playing soccer every single day. When I would get to school, I would try to eat as much as I could. One day, I broke the lock on the fridge, and he threw me so hard into a wall, I got a concussion. He told my mom that I did it. Part 3 is my mom's boyfriend would abuse me and she would do nothing about it. Disclaimer is not my story time. After he threw me into the wall and gave me a concussion, he told my mom that I was the one trying to fight him, that all he did was try to push me off and I hit the wall. My mom believed him. He would find any reason to grab me by the arm and shake me. He would hide my backpack and my shoes so that I would be late to school. And anytime my friends came over, he would bully us. Eventually, it escalated to slapping me every time I talked back. My mom would see it and not do anything. When I complained to her, she would cry but not do anything. I asked her to kick him out and she didn't. She told me that she was afraid of being by herself. I was not going to wait for the next time. I grabbed my backpack and ran to my dad's house. And when I told my dad what was happening, he took me to the police and we made a report. When the police showed up to my mom's house, she came to her senses and realized what was happening. She kicked him out and I didn't speak to her for 3 years. I ended up getting back with him, but then they broke up again. I'm now into real estate and I own several properties. My dad and I see each other every single day. I barely speak to my mom. I recently found out she got back together with him. How do I break them up? Give me ideas.
Story time. My best friend slept with my boyfriend on my birthday. So a little background information. I was 16 and a sophomore in high school. Well, I had this best friend who we are going to call Sarah. Her and I became super close over the summertime, but she was like on and off best friends with this other girl who we're gonna call Mackenzie. But I had this boyfriend who I was also really on and off with. And Sarah knew about all the problems within our relationship. Well, I guess I underestimated how close Sarah and Mackenzie were, because everything that I told Sarah, she went back and she told Mackenzie. And not to mention, Mackenzie was really close with my boyfriend. So of course, she told my boyfriend everything that I was saying. This ended up causing a huge fight between my boyfriend and I. Well, the night before my birthday, my boyfriend and I were going back and forth arguing. And around 12 a.m., on my birthday, I forced myself to fall asleep. And at around 1 a.m., I woke up to 20 Snapchat notifications, all from my boyfriend. And when I opened them, I saw the worst thing ever. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my best friend slept with my boyfriend on my birthday. So like I said, I woke up at around 1 a.m. to 20 Snapchat notifications from my boyfriend. And I saw the absolute worst thing ever. The first 5 notifications were just him calling me names. And then all the other ones were just him doing stuff with my best friend. And you guys can already guess what I mean by doing stuff. So at this point, I was heartbroken, I was pissed off. But of course, because I gotta have the receipts, I went and took a video off my sister's phone of everything that he sent me. In the morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number, and it turned out to be my boyfriend's best friend saying that him and Sarah were now together. So my boyfriend asked me to meet up and apologize. So I met him at this park, and he apologized to me, telling me that he wanted to get back together with me. But I told him to KMA, and I left. Then Sarah came to my house and keyed my car, and then we fought on my front lawn. And then after that, she was texting me about how she was coming back to my house. Like for part 3. Part 3 about how my best friend slept with my boyfriend. So like I said, she came to my house and she keyed my car. And I caught her, so I went outside. We fought on my front lawn. After she left, she kept sending me messages saying that she was coming back to my house so we could fight again. But she was blocked, so I didn't get any of the messages. And then my ex came to my house and brought me flowers. And this was all in a span of 1 day. So because it was my birthday party, my cousins were at my house, and I already told them everything that happened. So they went outside and they fought him. Well, then I ended up sending all the videos to his parents, her parents, his siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins who loved me. Then I also decided to take legal action, and I sent the cops all of the screenshots of Sarah harassing me. And my sister got a video of us fighting, so I sent that to them too. Well, since she was 18 and I literally just turned 16, she got 3 months in county jail for minor harassment and minor physical altercations. So in the end, I think I won.
Story time about how I married a married man. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Years ago, I met this guy that I thought was really cute. Stupid and naive, and I believed everything he said. I worked in customer service. He came into my job one day and just started flirting with me, and I was like thrilled. My job was really boring. This cute guy comes in and just starts talking to me, and I just fall in love. I'm not exaggerating. I know it's pathetic. I couldn't believe that he was talking to me and that he was interested in me. The next day, he asked me for my phone number, and I gave it to him. I went on one date, and I was legit in love. It starts to get creepy. He was 20 years older than me, and you could say he GROOMED'd me. I didn't know what was happening. I was 19, I had never had a boyfriend, and I barely had ever been kissed. Played me like a fiddle. After 2 weeks of going on dates, he finally kissed me. I knew that he was the man I wanted to marry. But when I told my coworker about him, she told me that he was married. I asked him about it. He told me that my coworker must have been mistaking him for his brother, because his brother and him had similar names and the brother was married. 3 days later, I asked one of his friends about it. That's when his friend tells me that he doesn't even have a brother and that he had been married for 15 years to a girl that was also 20 years younger than him. Even knowing this, I still married him. And you'll never guess how. Part 2 is already up. Story time about how I married a guy who was already married. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's on Instagram. Even though I knew he was already married to somebody else, and even though I knew he lied to me about already being married, I still went ahead and married him. I was completely obsessed with him. Because he was already legally married to somebody else, we decided to use a different name for him, and somehow it worked. We actually drove 5 hours away to get married, used fake names, filed in a different state, and then we drove back to our hometown, where literally no one knew we were married. It was our little secret. But then the poo hit the fan. He kept promising that he would leave his wife. But one day, I'm having dinner with my parents at a restaurant, and guess who shows up? My husband with his wife. And boy, did they look happy. He was all over her, kissing her neck and her hands. Not only until he realized that I was in the restaurant did he stop. Then he actually had the audacity to come to my table, introduce himself to my parents, and tell him that he knew me from my job. All the while, his wife was sitting at the table looking at me. And in that moment, I knew that she knew something was up. It's like she stared straight into my soul. She must have seen the way that I was looking at him, because she ran up to the table and introduced herself to me and my parents. When she tried to shake my hand, I didn't shake it back. My parents told me I was being rude, so I forced myself to shake her hand. 2 days later, she calls me and asks me what's up. But I lied and said that her husband was just a friend. Then I got an idea. I decided to be her friend. I asked her out to coffee and we had a great time. And little did she know that she was sitting with her husband's new wife. I feel like this way I can try to control their relationship from the inside. I confessed everything to my mom and she thinks I'm crazy. I think I'm a little crazy too. Am I completely wrong for this?
Storytime about falling into a dug-up grave. So a little background information, my dad was a teenager in the late 1950s, and he used to work at this restaurant that was near a local cemetery. Now, to get to work, he could either run through the cemetery or go around the cemetery. And more often than not, he would just go through the cemetery because nobody wants to add an extra 10 or 15 minutes to their walk, especially to work. Now, being 15 years old, going through the cemetery at night still low-key scared him. So the one night he got off of work and he was running home through the cemetery, and he fell into a dug-up grave. And my dad was not a big guy, so he tried to get out of there as best as he could, but after a few hours, he just gave up. Now, I guess some other kid had the same exact idea that he did, so he hears footsteps quickly approaching the grave, and then all of a sudden, some kid falls into the dug-up grave with him. So after a few minutes of watching this kid try to get out of the grave as well, my dad goes, "You know you're never going to get out of here, right?" My dad said this kid jumped up 6 feet and ran. Pretty funny story from my dad's point of view, but pretty scary for the other kid. Part 2 about how I unintentionally almost drowned my sister. Like I said, I have her floaties on, I'm in the deep end of the pool, she's screaming at me, telling me to take them off, I'm ignoring her. And then what does her crazy ass decide to do? She decides to get into the pool and try and get them from me. Now, my sister was super tiny. Like, even being in the shallow end of the pool, she really couldn't stick her head above the water. Now, I'm pretty sure that all swimming pools are like this, but there's a slope that goes into the deep end, and it's super slippery. So she comes over to try and get the floaties from me, and then she slips. It was literally like a cartoon where the cartoon characters are moving their feet backwards really fast. And I thought that she was just joking around, so I'm just sitting there staring at her until she actually starts choking, and then my dad hurries up and runs outside, thank God. I feel like dads just have superpowers to know whenever their kids are in trouble. Anyway, so he jumps into the pool and he saves her. He ends up spraining his ankle, and I wasn't allowed in the pool for the rest of the weekend. Now, of course, this had me pretty pissed off, but now that I'm an adult, I can see.
My boyfriend confessed that he thinks I'm ugly. Here's the long requested update. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. After he told me that he would not marry me because he didn't consider me as pretty as I should be, I started asking him what he would change about me. Can you believe he sat down on his phone and made a list? An actual damn list. First on his list was, I was too heavy. He told me I needed to lose at least 20 pounds. I figured that shouldn't be too hard, so I got on a diet. Then he told me he preferred my natural hair color, which is brown. So I stopped dyeing my hair blonde and went completely brown. Oh yes, and his last request was that I get lip filler. He said that my thin lips have always bothered him. Then he told me I should look at more makeup tutorials to figure out how to do my makeup. Then he told me that I should tan in the sun to get some nice color on me. I know you guys want me to break up with him. What if I make all these changes and I'm actually healthier and happier? Not just for him, but for me. Since I last spoke to you guys, it's been about 2 weeks. I've only lost 2 pounds, but I'm on my way. We ended up getting lip filler and I love it. My lips look pretty but not exaggerated, so it actually looks nice. I also got Botox and cheek filler even though he did not request this. And to be honest, my face looks a lot better. It actually does like my new hair though. And I started sitting out in the sun, although I will start fake tanning because I do not want to get wrinkles. Mostly because Self-Care Sister told me not to and I trust this girl. Since making all these changes, he's actually been a little bit nicer to me. In exchange for me making all these changes, he's spending more time with me and going out less with his friends. He's even taking me out on dates twice a week. Before I started making all these changes, I was always trying to look like something I wasn't. I was obsessed with being blonde and contouring, and he basically begged me not to contour anymore. So I asked Esther to do a tutorial for me, which she said she's gonna post. I feel like all he really wants me to do is focus on my self-care, and I'm totally willing to do that. I'll have to keep you guys updated, but so far so good. I did get myself a trainer, and he actually got jealous, which I think is a good sign, right? Self-Care Sister out.
Story time. My boyfriend cheated on me with the girl best friend. So a little background information, I was 17 and a junior in high school, and my boyfriend and I had been dating for a year. But just a little backstory about when we got together. So there were definitely some red flags that I missed, okay? One of them being that he had a girl best friend. And I don't care what y'all have to say if that makes me insecure or what, but coming from someone who has been the girl best friend, I knew this was not good at all. Especially whenever we first started dating and she was still being super friendly with him, meaning she would hold his hand, she would hang on him 24/7. And when I told him I was super uncomfortable with that and I felt like there needed to be some boundaries, he was like, yeah, I told you what it was whenever we got together. So if you don't like that, then just break up with me. Looking back on it now, that was also a red flag because I feel like he was telling me to break up with him so that way he didn't have to break up with me, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend cheated on me with the girl best friend. So like I said, she would still hang all over him and he pretty much told me, if you don't like that, then you can leave. Obviously, I did not want to leave because I liked him and he was my boyfriend. So I just kept putting up with it and eventually, we got 6 months into our relationship. So at that point, I'm thinking maybe I have a little bit more authority, to be like, hey, I don't like the way that she acts around you. You guys can't hang out like that anymore. And they would hang out alone together. He would take her to dinner. I literally tried telling him that the stuff that they do together is relationship stuff. And he was like, that's not true at all because we did all of this stuff before you and I even got together. So anyways, like I said, 6 months in, I'm like, hey, I don't like the way that you guys are hanging around each other. Once again, he gives me the same excuse. So he pretty much said that he didn't care. And the one night him and I were supposed to hang out, but he canceled on me last minute. And her and I didn't get along and she never Snapchatted me before, but then I get a Snapchat of her and him making out at his house. Part 3 about why I will never ever ever babysit ever again. So like I said, I picked up the stack of towels and a camera that was recording fell out of it. And while I was home later that night, I was waiting for my mom to get home when I got a call from Will. And if you don't remember who that is, that's Autumn's dad. And of course I wasn't going to answer the phone because I was super weirded out and low-key scared. But then he left a voicemail. And he was like, hey, so I know you have the camera. And this is kind of awkward, but I'm gonna need it back. I can pay you whatever you want, and I would prefer that we don't tell anybody about this. Sometimes I'm just really amazed at how stupid people are because as soon as my mom got home, I showed her the camera and I let her listen to the voicemail. So my mom called over Autumn's mom. So they called the police, and Autumn's mom kept trying to call Will, but his phone was going straight to voicemail. And she was like, yeah, he begged me not to come over here whenever you called. It's been a week since this happened, and Autumn's dad is currently running from the cops.